Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I love to get up on a Sunday morning, watch some bonsai videos, and this morning there was a fantastic video by Corin of Greenwood's bonsai studio, and he was working on this. Well, it's not this exact same tree, but it's the tree from the same store from Sainsbury's in the UK. It cost £10, and he turned just this basic material into a really nice tree. So I thought, I'll do the same. I shot out this morning, picked a tree up, and it's time to work on it. The exact species is an Omorica Christmas tree. It's a type of spruce. Corin did his video with a Christmas hat on, but you all know I'm the coolest bonsai YouTuber out there, so I can't do stuff like that. Let's take a look at what's inside here. Let me get that out of the way. These trees, they're not grown in this soil. They're grown wherever, pulled out, and then just temporarily potted up in this stuff. So my first job is to take a look at the roots. Unfortunately, the microphone ran out of battery at this point. I had just put new batteries in, but anyway, I'm doing a voiceover. As you can see here, when I took the tree out of the pot, it was extremely dry. There was basically no moisture at all in that. It was extremely fine, sandy, dusty, strange kind of material, really, almost like a powdered clay. Not what I was expecting, but you know, it is what it is. So here I got my root hook and I just decided to start removing some of this. There's no way I wanted to leave this on the roots of the tree, and it's just better to basically get this off. So I had a bit of a scrape around. It came off very easily. I'm not convinced that this tree was even grown in this material. I think it was grown elsewhere and then just transferred into this stuff. So it came off very easily. There we go. And we've got the roots. Quite a nice compact small root ball with lots of fine roots, which is great. Here I've switched from the root hook to another chopstick. This is a bit of a posh one. I won't ask anyone to guess what wood this is because it's a bit easy. This is African ebony. I think all ebony is African, but it's a lovely wood to work with, super smooth and very hard and durable, and looks great. So I'm using the stick here just to free up a few bits of this extra soil, and then this lower branch, this had to go. It was way too low down, and that was the first decision I had to make. Get rid of that. Following that, I'm looking at these roots below, and some of them that were up near the top, they didn't actually have many feeder roots on them anyway, and they were in awkward positions like this one here. May as well just cut that off. So that went, and we've got this strange upward facing root there with very little attached to it, so that one had to go as well. There's always a danger when you're removing roots that you're going to sort of take away the tree's ability to grow on and recover, and that's always a danger, and it might be the case with this tree. I don't know yet. I mean, I wouldn't ideally have liked to have to go this far and remove all the soil, but the soil on my tree was quite different to the soil on Corin's tree that he had. It must be from a different place, but this was, as I say, very dusty. But we're left there with plenty of fine feeder roots, and I've got a feeling this tree should be okay. Down here is the flare coming out of the side of the trunk at that part. So I've lined this piece of wire up here. So ideally the front wants to be either here or directly on the other side. My decision for choosing the front has turned out to be really quite easy. From round this side, the tree naturally opens up. It's got a good spread of branches. It's got the odd one coming towards me, which I can remove, but generally it seems to be good. When I go from the opposite side, we've got a lot of the thicker back branches coming right at us. I'd have to remove more branches and it just doesn't seem as pleasing. So this is the front round here, definitely. The first job is to go in and remove any of these sort of straggly pieces of crotch growth that are growing right next to the trunk. They're no use to me, and it's just a question of going through the tree and removing them all. There's a very weak branch there that'll never be any use, so I'm just going through the tree now, taking off anything that's not going to be any value in the final design, just to sort of clear things up. And there's not too much of that kind of growth in here, really. The first decision is on this branch here. It's the thickest branch on the tree by a fair distance, but that's okay because it's at the bottom, and it's good if your bottom branch is the thickest. I quite like the position of it. I don't want it bare all the way up, so I'm going to say I'll keep that as the first branch coming out to the left. And then I need to work my way round the tree, sort of deciding, making decisions on the rest of the branches. This is the fun bit, but also the tricky bit, because you don't get a second chance at this. Once these branches are gone, they're gone. This one comes right at me. So if this is the front, which I've decided on, I've got a branch here that's poking right at me, so that needs to be removed, and that opens all that centre up quite nicely. Definitely want to keep this branch. Definitely want this one at the back there. They're nice. But this one is a bit of a bar branch to this one here. So I'll remove that. And then as we go up, we've got another set of bar branches up here. So I'll remove the one on the other side. So that's that gone. When buying material like this, I think the most important thing is not to buy any that have got major whorls. So you can get points with 5 and 6 branches all coming from the same point. The trunk thickens, you've got to cut them all off, it makes a real mess. So I made sure that I picked one that didn't have that issue to deal with, because, you know, why make problems for yourself? We've got another branch coming right at us here. It's a fairly big branch, but again, it's coming at me, directly poking me in the eye, so I'll get rid of it. That really opens up this space nicely. Now there is a branch here that's also poking at me, but I don't mind that. I don't want it completely bare on this side. I'm okay with the odd branch coming at me because I want it to look real. There's good taper going up the tree. Round the back here though, we've got a line of branches that are all above each other, which I don't like. One of them's got to go, and I'll select that one, the middle one. That works nicely. So we're getting a good, nice spread of branches all the way around, 360 degrees. And at some point I need to make a decision on where the top of this tree is. I've got another approximately an inch of base at the bottom, so when I sort of take all that into consideration, the thickness of the trunk, which tapers up really well, it also then tapers here. We've got a couple of fairly thick branches and it tapers up further, so, and there's a bit of movement off to the side, and I think this would be the absolute minimum, is to get rid of that. So that's quite a nice height. We've got a branch here near the top that's coming towards us, so that will be a great branch to turn into the new apex. So this one here is hopefully going to be the new apex. It looks like a nice healthy branch. if I cut the trunk just below that, that should now sit nicely at the top of the tree. Perfect. So I highly recommend that you have a go at this. Asda have these same trees, B&Q have them available. They're in more or less all the main stores at the moment. So you've got no excuse not to get one. They're either 10 or 12 pounds. So the price is great. And you can start off and create something nice for yourself. I'm just kind of looking now at thinning out the odd branch here and there to develop this tree. It's not turned out to be the easiest tree to style, this one, in terms of the branch placement. There's quite a lot happening up at the top, so I need to remove something from up here. It's hard to decide what to get rid of. This is where someone experienced like Corin would just know exactly which ones to remove, and it'd almost be instinctive, I would imagine, for him. But for me, I need to give it lots of thought and try to work out which ones are going to be the best, and it almost seems to be a bit of guesswork, really. Yeah, it's quite hard to know. But I enjoy this, and it's fairly pressure free because, you know, you've not spent a lot of money. This is the bit I'm struggling with. There's a bit of a mini whirl up here, so there were quite a few branches coming from the same place or from a similar place, and I can't keep them all. So it's about which ones do you keep. And ultimately you've got to just dive in there and make some decisions and sort of stick by them. Some of them will be wrong, especially as you're learning, but you know, that's how we learn. So I'm taking quite a few off up there, but hopefully now from the front here I'm developing a nice spread. There's some good branches at the back, so it's a three-dimensional composition. I wouldn't say I'm over the moon with it, but you know, it's not too bad. The next step before I wire anything is to reduce the length of the branches. I'm not just cutting them any old how, I'm taking them back to buds so that there'll be something nice to grow next year where they'll sprout from. One thing I have noticed while doing this is how challenging this is for me to do this and to try to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Obviously with Corin, he's done so many trees like this over the years. He's so experienced. It's just second nature to him. So he's talking away as he's cutting and pruning, and he barely has to even think about what he's doing. My brain's currently working at 100%, so it's going about 95% on the tree and about 5% on what I'm saying. That's why it's probably sounds like gibberish. Some of these bigger branches I am just chopping off and taking back because they are just too long. But it's great fun. Highly recommended to anybody to do this. Even if you've not got any bonsai trees. I know there's some people who follow my channel and they don't actually have any bonsai trees. They just enjoy seeing the work done on other, you know, on other people's trees, which is great. But what I'd say is, this is your opportunity. Have a go. Nothing to lose. I'm going to be applying wire in a moment, but if you don't have wire, you could still do this exercise without wiring it. And perhaps down the line you'll think it's worth investing in a bit of wire and have a go. These trees are very apically dominant. What that means is they grow from the top. So it puts all its growing energy and everything high up in the tree. So that's where you have to prune the hardest. And that's to maintain the vigour further down. I wonder if Corin will end up watching this. If you do, write a comment. Corin, let me know. Let me know how you think I've did. Give me a mark out of 10. And thanks for all the videos you do. I love them. Very, very informative. A bit like, you know, Ryan Neal, Peter Warren, Corin, Tomlinson. These are the people that I don't necessarily watch for entertainment. I watch for, although it is entertaining to watch them, I watch for knowledge, to learn. These are very experienced bonsai people who devoted their life to this practice. So it's not realistic that I'll know even a fraction of what they know about bonsai because they've been doing it for so long and they're so experienced. And as I've said on multiple occasions, I don't pretend that I'm an expert. There's no point. Too easy to get found out. When I'm plastering on site, if I see somebody, I can tell within seconds if they're a professional plasterer and if they've been trained properly. It takes me seconds. I just watch him and I go, he's a plasterer, he's not. There. What do you think? I won't call it instant bonsai, but you know, I think it's beginning to look okay. I'm not going to talk about wiring this tree. I've talked about wiring lots and lots of times, and there's a link to the original video below, and Corin talks about how he wires these trees in that. I recommend you go and watch it. It's, as I say, it's really good. He's not as entertaining as me, but you know, he's only human. So I'll come back when this is wired. I've just spent probably 20 minutes applying all this wire to this tree. Again, I'm just using old wire, so I'm reusing it because I like to recycle and I don't like just wasting it. But I'm hoping now that when I reposition these branches, it starts to look better. So the idea is to kind of work my way around the tree, just sort of bending them, adding some interesting movement to them as I go. I'm going to start off pretty much by just bending them all down. I'm not really doing any more than that first. So I'll just get them all down into some kind of position like that. And then come behind the camera and see if I've created a masterpiece. You're probably all sat at home going, trust me, you haven't. So again, I'm giving them that kind of downwards slope as if they've been weighted by snow. Let's get that on the table and give it a turn. Right. Here's the front. That doesn't look like Corins. Oh. Oh no, maybe I'm being harsh on myself. It's not too bad. I think what I need to do is chop some of these branches back. It's too wide. That's why it looks doesn't look great. So I need to create more of a conifer shape, sort of going up like that. So ones like this, they're just too long. And by cutting these back, like this, and especially sort of like round this area here where it's very, very dense, perhaps then it'll start looking a bit more like a bonsai. So I'm always trying to spot buds and cut back to the buds if I can. Corin's top look better. I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think he didn't bother trying to create an apex. Maybe he just tried to fill that space like that. There's a part of me that's a bit disappointed really in that. It doesn't have quite the wow factor that I'd hoped for, but I think if you're going to commit to something, commit to it, do it, you know, don't give up. And Corin planted his in a proper bonsai pot, and I look at this and I think it's not worth putting in a proper bonsai pot, but you know what, I'm going to do it because that's the plan. Now I'm not going to use my best bonsai pot. I bought a load of pots from Premier Bonsai, and I ordered this one, and it's silver in colour. It's like a bronzy silver colour. It's quite out there really. It's probably the one I'm my least favourite, but it's kind of wacky. I think it'll be the right size for this tree. So I'm going to put some mesh in it, put some wire and get it in a bonsai pot. I put my scrim tape in, I put a wire there, so all I'll do is I'll just transfer some of this bonsai soil into it and then get this tree in there. I'm not going to do any disturbing of the roots. I think this should sit quite nicely in this pot. It's a good size for this tree. I could possibly do with the tree coming back a little bit this way. Back to the chopstick to get a bit of this compost in and around these roots. It was pretty much bare rooted in the end because all that soil was so sandy, it just dropped off. So I don't want any air pockets down there, so it's worth just spending a bit of time to work this bonsai soil down. So, which way should I come here? I don't think it really matters, so I'll come around this back so I don't damage anything. Get that nice and tight. There, that's nicely secured in place. This pot's a bit blingy, isn't it? Look at that. I've never seen a bright silver pot like this. I don't know what inspired me to choose this one, but I quite like it actually. So this is the front. Now I've made quite an error there in that I've not put the front. Oh, what an idiot! I've not put the front towards the front of the pot. I was so focused on getting it in, and this is the front here, and I've positioned it there. Needs to be moved. I've applied the cut paste and rotated the tree round into position, so this is now the front. That was a schoolboy error. It looks good from all directions really. Not bad. It's got really good taper. I'm very happy with the taper. Not having to do any major cuts either, and I don't mind this bit of a root coming out here. I think it adds some good weight to the bottom, so I just need to water this now and protect it for the winter, and yeah, not too bad. I finished the video last night, and then during the evening I was thinking about it. I just wasn't happy with the tree. I knew I needed to do more work, so I came out this morning and I've just thinned it back a bit. Sort of developed those, allowed the branches to sit in their own spaces, and I'm now much more happy with the look of this tree. It's got that kind of winter pine effect, and yeah, it's a lot better. So I'll show you the final result. So I think it looks quite nice in this blingy pot, bit of silver. Overall, I'm really happy with, you know, the way the branches are sitting. This is definitely the front, but it doesn't look false, you know, it's not all flat and one-dimensional. Looks quite good from all angles. I'm just hoping now that this goes on and grows well this year and all that root work doesn't affect it too badly. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.